it's Miss Carol, and I hope you've had a great week. Today, I'm going to bring you the Bible story all the way from Houston, Texas. Do you know where Houston is? Well, let's see. Oh, wait! I'm not in Michigan anymore. Well, do you know Houston is a big city? And back in Bible days, cities had walls around them to keep the people safe. And in today's Bible story, we're going to hear about how a wall was rebuilt. So let's go to the Bible and read from the Old Testament in Nehemiah. Well, a long time ago, a man named Nehemiah lived in Persia. And Persia was a place where many of God's people stayed after they were freed from Babylon. Some of God's people went home to their country called Judah, and Nehemiah was one of God's people. He had an important job in Persia serving the king. One day, some men came from Judah, and Nehemiah asked them, "How are God's people doing?" "The people are in trouble," they said. "The walls around the city are broken down, and the gates have been burned down too." Nehemiah cried and prayed to God when he heard the bad news. Then the king saw that Nehemiah was very sad. "What's wrong, Nehemiah?" the king asked. Nehemiah said, "The city where my family is from is in trouble, and the walls around the city are broken, and the gates have been burned down." So the king sent Nehemiah to Jerusalem to rebuild the city. In Jerusalem, Nehemiah led the people to rebuild Jerusalem's walls and fix the gates in the wall. Everyone in the city worked together on the walls, and before long, the wall was halfway built. Some men who lived nearby did not like God's people, and they did not want them to have new walls to keep them safe. The men made fun of God's people and made a plan to attack them. Nehemiah did not want the people to be afraid. "God is great and powerful," Nehemiah said. "If our enemies attack us, God will fight for us." So God's people kept working, and some of the men stood guard with weapons, and others worked on the wall. The people were always ready to fight, just in case. Nehemiah was a good leader for God's people. He helped them when they had problems, and he told them to trust God. Before long, the wall was finished. The gates in the wall were fixed, and God's people were safe. The people's enemies were afraid because they knew that God was with his people. So Nehemiah helped God's people fix the walls around their city, and the walls protected the people from their enemies. Jesus protects us from our enemies, which is sin and death. When we know and love Jesus, he keeps us safe from sin, and we will live with him forever. Well, isn't that great? That God protects us from our enemies? We don't need physical walls around us because we have Jesus to protect us. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's Bible story, and I'll see you next time. Bye.